Ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you, it feels so good to be back on the 2 streams a day, Monday through Friday type energy. As promised, we were all going to be meeting this late afternoon and unpacking what the injury histories look like for some of the Buffalo Bills' most recent additions. That is including the Palmers of the world and the Elijah Moores of the world, our draft picks like Deion Walker. Same exact thing with Landon Jackson. We understand that he was added to the PUP list, but per reports and per interviews, it sounds like he will be ready next week, at least according to him. However, rather than us just sit here and speculate, I actually was able to lock down my good friend Thigh Doctor to come on and educate us on all of the histories surrounding these new additions on the Buffalo Bills, as well as just answering some really key questions, right? Like, what is Matt Milano going to look like this year? Should we see some sort of regression? How serious are particular injuries? I'd say with the best example being with Tre'Davious White, how close could he potentially get to full 100% Tre'Davious White with his age considered as well? I'm so excited to welcome him in on the show to unpack a variety of different topics. But while we're waiting for him, I'm going to have to be nosy. Once again, roll call in the chat and let me know where you are tuning in from, folks. I always love getting a good understanding of where my audience is located. So let me know, where are you tuning in from? What team are you currently representing? Let's get this going. Right before I dive into that, I need to give a giant shout out to today's proud partner. And that just so happens to be our good friends over at William Matar. Folks, if you are ever hurt in a car, I got to tell you, you have to call William Matar, #1 car accident attorney in the state of New York. I would never wish an injury on absolutely anybody. However, unfortunately, we live in a very cruel world, and this is a regular occurrence. So if you ever find yourself on the receiving end, I pray to God we do not have to find the right representation and look no further than our good friend William Matar. Folks, how is that roll call going? Smash that like button. Hit that thumbs up sign, folks. We are building the largest community on YouTube. I want to make sure that all of you guys are building as many relationships as friends as you possibly can. Roll call in the chat. Let me know where you are tuning in from as we warm this crowd up for our good friend, the Thigh Doc. We have Oswego is in the chat. Cameron, what is going on, my friend? How are you? Altoona, Iowa, watching, man. What is going on? Midnight Hope all as well. Ted Hoff, he's watching, viewing in Greece. How late is it for you, my friend? I could only imagine you must be just getting home after a long night. I hope it was fun. Greece is a beautiful, beautiful country. Folks, do not be shy. Don't be lurkers. Let me know where you are tuning in from. Also, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up sign right now where it stands, man. 31 of you are on YouTube right now. I think that we could easily crank this episode up to about 150, 175. That's if everybody does their part. If everyone does their part and hits that thumbs up sign on YouTube, then we will be locked down. Because trust me, I want a lot of people to watch this episode today because we are going to be learning so much about some of the injury histories regarding some of our most recent acquisitions in Buffalo. Keep on keeping on with that roll call. Attica, New York, go Bills, especially number 86, Dalton Kincaid. Lori is a Dalton Kincaid believer, and I love the optimism. Hell Coco, Florida. Fanged Hawk, what is going on, man? Hope all is well. What's good, Dan? Let's go, Buffalo. Guys, roll call, roll call, roll call. Let me know. Houston, Montana. Let's go, Buffalo. Chris, I am envious once again. I love the good state of Montana. Greece, New York. Like late here. What is the latest, Dan? Scott, we are lucky enough to be welcoming my good friend Thigh Doctor on here in just a couple of minutes, where he's going to be unpacking ad nauseum some of the injury histories surrounding our recent acquisitions for the Buffalo Bills. So it's going to be a very informative episode, so stick around. What is going on, man? And you are not too late. We have Go Chiefs. Axel is in the chat. We have Nashville, Tennessee. Go Bills. Go Bills. North Bend, Oregon. Go Bills. That's my boy right there. We have Niagara Falls. Go Dolphins. Carly is in the chat. I thought she was a Bills fan. Anyway, North Myrtle Beach, fins up. Charles McKay, what is going on, man? I hope all is well on your end. And you know what, man? It's funny because Thigh Doctor just ended up getting backstage as we speak, and he's making an entrance, the exact entrance that I thought that he would, and I absolutely love it. Without further ado, let's welcome in our good friend, the Thigh Dog. What, dude? Dude.
Hey,
Guns out, huh?
how you doing?
Dude, I am doing fantastic. Love the background. It's beautiful where you are, obviously. Sun's out, guns out, like I said. How's your summer been?
It's going pretty good. Been out doing some yard work, working on my dance.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I do owe it to you, man, but like my thighs aren't where like I feel like you believe they should be, right? Like I've been trying to build my legs since I was in high school, and I've just accepted the fact that it's not in my genetics. And so I'm eating all the calories, my friend. I'm not skipping leg day. It's just not there for me, man. So it's something, unfortunately, I've had to accept.
A couple more lunges there, Dan.
Maybe, man. Maybe that might just be the secret factor. Love the helmet, by the way, man. Especially since we're finally in the spirit for training camp. Starts here in just less than 48 hours. I'm pumped.
Can't wait.
I know, man. I know. Folks, like I said, I had to bring on Thigh Doctor. He is a contributor over at Buffalo Fanatics, does some great work. And we've been talking about collaborating quite a bit, especially for the past couple of years. And be on the lookout for him to be a regular guest on this show. And also the Bills Roundtable with Z-Bot and I starting in just a couple of weeks. But, Doc, so we have a lot of questions for you today, man. And I kind of wanted to start off with the big one, right? Because last year, for some reason, it appeared that Buffalo had a wrist epidemic. Each and every single week, we saw some player go down with the wrist injury, a bunch of other random like knee contusions, like you name it. And ultimately that led to our current strength and conditioning coach to be fired, or former strength and conditioning coach, if you will. From your experience, how much of last year, in your opinion, had to do with the coaching, or was it more of just terrible luck for the Buffalo Bills? Like, what was your take on that?
Yeah, so with the wrist, you can hear me clear, Dan, right?
Sure.
All right, no echoes in the helmet. Okay.
Love it.
With a wrist injury, that's just bad luck. I mean, that's a contact injury. It's not like, hey, let me strengthen up my wrist a little more and it might not fracture. So those are tough luck injuries. The ones that you got to look out for more are the soft tissue, right? Are you getting a lot of calf injuries, hamstrings, torn pecs? They got a few of those. It was more so about 2 years ago, the playoff run where we ran into the Bengals. We had like the whole defensive line out with calf injuries. So I know McDermott and McBean were mentioning that they were going to look into why they had so many calf injuries. To piggyback off of that, there was some word that they were doing calf testing, and Deion Dawkins was like off the charts with those big calves of his. So I guess they looked into it. But again, in regards to the strength staff, I don't think the wrist injuries is something that you could put on Schiano's head there. However, when guys come back from injuries, I mean, the training room's there to take the pain away and, patch them up. But the strength coach is responsible for getting them back in playing shape to get back on the field. So we hear whispers of like Keon Coleman struggling coming off of the injury, and Dwayne Carter. Now, a lot of that's a product of, Carter had wrist surgery. So you got to grasp and hold and shed. I mean, that's tough to do after a wrist. You need 3 months. So there's probably a lot more to it than just a couple of bad luck injuries or some soft tissue stuff. There might have been more of a philosophical headbutting of McDermott and the coach possible at play there. So I do have a little more info if you want to know.
Please.
So Will Greenberg is a very good strength coach. He's been in the wings of Schiano for the past several years. And I did get to talk to Lorenzo Alexander a couple years ago, and he pointed out Greenberg specifically when I had asked him, "Hey, what do you think of the weight room? And is it good that the team like invested into building up that department?" And he said, "Yeah, they're very progressive, and especially Will Greenberg. He he treats you individually. So say you got some loose ends you got to clean up, he's giving you corrective exercises for that. Whereas sometimes a strength coach is just a cookie cutter approach. Like, hey, everybody's got to do this lift. So it sounds like they got a good one.
All right. Well, hey, you know what? Like, we certainly feel optimistic about that. But then it shifts over into new questions because obviously this year, like with the Buffalo Bills, we've made quite a few additions in free agency and then also within the draft. And I kind of wanted to walk through a couple of players that I found concerning and then also really like opening the table once the show is progressing. So to hear your thoughts and your candidates. But one that really stood out to me was the whole scenario with Landon Jackson like last week. So they elected to add him to the physically unable to perform lists, which at first I thought was kind of strange. I said, like I'm kind of surprised that they would go to that length, especially if the plan was to activate him week 1 of training camp. And then I went down this rabbit hole of his ACL history. From what I understand, he had 2 ACL tears in high school, had 1 in college. So I kind of wanted to hear your thoughts on what happened to him that caused him to be on the PUP list. And as Bills fans, should we taper our expectations of this prospect based off of the injury history that he has had in high school and college?
Yeah, all good points. So let's take it from a bird's eye view. So he dropped to the 3rd round. The guy's a physical freak. He set, for his size, weight, his jump was like through the roof. I think 3 people ever, it was like Myles Garrett, Shamar Stewart, and him are the only one who hit like certain metrics at that size. So obviously he's a freak, but he's got 2 ACLs in the same knee. Now, what does that mean? 2 ACLs in the same knee? It's just more wear and tear damage on the knee. So think longevity issues. Okay. Do I want to take a 1st round pick and invest that money into him when, hang on a second. Do I want to take that 1st round pick and invest into him if I feel like, hey, this guy might not be a second contract kind of guy? So then that's an issue. He also had an ankle injury, I believe, in high school, and had some issues with that. And now more recently, he got spine boarded in his last regular season game in college. So that would have been late November this year.
You said spine boarded?
Spine boarded, yeah, he took a hit. So they chalked it up that it was nothing serious. And then he was able to play in the Senior Bowl. I believe you were there, right? About 8 weeks later. So, okay, it's not like he had neck surgery. Shouldn't have been that big of a deal. You think, okay, maybe a stinger. So then you find out that he was at the SAC Summit 2.5, 3 weeks ago, and now he's on the PUP list. So what happened? I don't know. There's some rumblings that it might have been a neck or back issue. Now, this gentleman who had mentioned it, he said that he had a neck surgery. That's been debunked. There's no way this player had a neck surgery and played 8 weeks later. That's not how it works. But he might have had an injection. So I think he mixed it up. Whoever he talked to probably said he had a procedure, and then that was an injection, and now he's having issues with his neck again. So what does that equate to? I think it's more an issue of longevity. If a guy, goes to a simple practice and he's throwing out his neck, he probably has a disc issue. Now, listen, this is very speculative.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to read between the tea leaves here. So, okay, his neck's wonky. He might have a disc issue. They gave him an injection. It didn't need surgery. It's not a full-blown herniated disc, but it's probably on its way to getting there. So does this mean that in a couple years or sooner than later, he does have a disc issue? You blow out your disc in your neck, you got to get a fusion. You get a fusion, your career clock's 1 to 3 years. The younger you are, the longer that clock gets pushed out. But you see with like a Micah Hyde, he had the neck fusion at 30. He was done in a year. You get a prospect like Lati Letu from the Colts, who had his fusion in college. They still picked him in the 1st round, but that's why it scared teams off, the longevity. So it's all investments in these guys. He's a 3rd round pick, long story short. I know we have high hopes for him and think he can, blossom into something special, but I would assume the team said calculated risk. If he doesn't get to a second contract and he's productive for 4 or 5 years, that's great.
So it sounds like you're tapering your expectations for this guy.
For longevity.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. But can you be a player for a couple years? Yes. Now, if
Perfect.
there's one guy on the team who's kind of debunked that and has exceeded my expectations is Spencer Brown. The dude had terrible
Yeah.
knee injuries. He had a back injury that needed. Now backs do better than necks in football, just so you know. But he had a back surgery and he got that second contract and he's thriving. So it's possible.
And so we're all definitely hoping for it. And then I was kind of hoping that like you could provide some sort of clarity on this as well when it comes into the physically unable to perform list. Why would they list him right on the pup if they thought that he would be back next week? And that's what it sounds like all of the so the reports are saying based off of his interview. Why would they go to that measure, say that it was something that minor? Are they not telling us something, or like what's your deal?
It sounds like there's concern,
Okay.
but they just wanted to be safe. Maybe he wasn't in house yet, or he came in and he spooked them with their symptoms, and they said, "Hey, let's pump the brakes." The guy, something happened to his neck in late November, early December, and we're just starting camp. Let's take it easy. If we need some more time to rest, so say he's getting some symptoms, he's got some tingling down the arm, right? He's got a little pinch of that nerve. Give him some time. Give him a couple weeks. If it goes away real quick because he's young and he's like, he gets to that mafia con, he's like, guys, I'm good. Like, I felt good for 5 days. Like, they didn't need the pup, he's thinking. But that's maybe where the team came from with that.
Interesting. Very interesting. So next player is somebody that I think everybody is obsessed with his size profile. And many think that this could be the answer for Daquan Jones once his contract expires next year. But for me, so I'm not going to lie to you, I really didn't like a lot of his tape from college. And so I think that he still needs to develop quite a bit. And then it came out that, oh, he was playing with a back injury all throughout his last year in college. You also brought it up a tad in our conversation prior to coming on stream. What are your thoughts on this guy? Will his back injury go into 2025? And what are your overall expectations of Deion Walker?
All good questions. His back's going to bother him when he gets older, inevitably. He had a pars defect, so it's like a little stress fracture in your lumbar spine. I actually played with one in high school, so I know that they're very painful. So, and there ebbs and flows. When it gets flared up, you can't bend over, but other days you feel fresh, and then you take a hit, and it's like, jacked it up. So you need rest. You need about 3 months to really reset it. I mean, they say like 6 to 8 weeks, but in reality for contact sports. And then he's got to get stronger. So his body type, like he's big, we know that. But he also has like a flat back, so that doesn't do well for these type of injuries. So he's got to get in the weight room with Will Greenberg, and he's got to get the corrective measures, good core stabilizers, and then produce. He's probably got to lose a little weight. I know he's massive, 360, but he plays like a 3 technique, so he probably would do a lot better if he was around 330. And, think of who's the D tackle we all loved last year. He came back to the team. Jordan Phillips.
Jordan Phillips.
Yeah, I think this is more like his body type, but with the length of like a Chris Jones. So that's kind of how I see him. But, he's got skills that are rare for a guy his size. He might have a great career, and he might fluke out. But in regards to his injury, the team was very conservative with him in the OTAs. So he didn't get many reps, and we'll see how that goes in camp. So if the same thing continues and you see him like back end of the depth chart, he's only getting a couple team reps.
Yeah.
And they never unleash him. Potentially this can turn into a redshirt year for him to get his body right. Or that time off has already taken place and he's ready to go. I don't know. We'll see. But in terms of the injury in general, guys get over it. He's young enough to recover, get his body right. Is it going to bother him in the back end of his career? Probably absolutely. And then into his 40s and on with that.
Mm-hmm. And so especially when you consider that we got him in the 4th round,
not a
he's
bad
really
investment.
just going to be, and so a rotational piece for the most part. And so I'm not sure about you, but like I was a huge advocate for the Bills actually going for for more of that one tech guy, I really wanted Alfred Collins. I really wanted Alfred Collins right in the second round. And nothing against TJ Sanders. Like, he's a baller, solid 3 tech. But in my opinion, I always kind of saw TJ Sanders as that guy that was going to be rotating with Ed Oliver. And he was more from a Brandon Beane perspective. Hey, if TJ comes in and shocks the world, and so I have an out on Ed Oliver's contract in 2026, that might be the answer. And I thought that was so addressing an issue that shouldn't have been prioritized. I'm kind of concerned that if Daquan Jones goes down, that completely destroys our production on the defensive line. I'm not sure your thoughts there.
Yeah. Like we clamor for red helmets, we clamor for a one technique in this fan base, and it seems like
we never get it.
They've never delivered it. So a one technique you would think would be very important, because when Daquan's been out over the past couple of years, the run defense really struggles because they don't have the stout D tackle. But the team always says, "Oh, we like the versatility. We like the versatility." They just play that 4-3, so they think they can get away with like tweener 1-1-3 technique, holding down the one technique spot. But now as teams are going back to more running, I think it's more important than ever. So I don't know why they don't have a stout guy. Just watching clips from OTA though, but that TJ Sanders has pop.
He does.
He's violent, so
yeah,
he might be a guy that you can play 1 and 3. I don't know. Dwayne Carter, I don't see him going into a one technique, but it sounds like they're going to try. I'd hate to see this all backfire, and then we're sitting here next summer like, shit, we need a one technique all over again. But I hear you. I like the kid from that athletic one technique from Michigan who never made it past the Dolphins. I had high hopes for him, because you still want him athletic. The thing is, when you get the big guys that can't move, but they're good stout guys, they're like 2 down guys, so they usually go a little later in the draft. So it is what it is. So it's rare to see that guy with the blend of size and speed like that.
And so I wanted Kenneth Grant so much, exactly. Man. You have no idea. It's funny. I feel like I'm gonna stop like making all of my favorite draft crushes public on the internet, because all 3 of the guys that I was pounding the table for all went to teams that I absolutely hate. I had Kenneth Grant to the Dolphins. So then you had Kyle Williams right to the Pats, and Jalen Royals ended up going over to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh yeah, that was a late grab. That's right.
So I think that I'm gonna like stop making all of those picks or those draft crushes public, because with the football universe just punished me in that overall category.
Watching your videos.
My guy, dude, listen, I'm so glad that we were able to do this, man. I really am. As soon as when he shot me that DM, I was like, I need thigh doc in my life, especially during this season. For real, man. But all right, so it's not just draft selections, but then it also ends up coming into some free agency acquisitions. And if I remember correctly, I'm not sure if it was OTAs or mandatory minicamp, but we did hear that our latest wide receiver addition, Josh Palmer, had to leave practice due to said injury. I'm pretty sure it was you that mentioned that he had issues while he was with the LA Chargers. So I'm sort of curious right on your take with Palmer and what we should expect and what red flags we should be looking at going into the season.
Yep. So he doesn't have the big ticket, like, oh, he had an ACL, like obvious stuff. But he did have to go on the IR. I think he missed about 6 games with his knee, which if someone's going on 6 games with a knee, it's either like a meniscus or cartilage issue, if they didn't blow out a ligament. And then he had trouble in training camp last year. They had to shut him down a couple times because his knee was bothering him. So then you see him run a simple route. I mean, he planted and turned on his right knee. It did not look like an MCL. Didn't look like anything ligamentous. So for that twisting rotation to cause him to come up lame and pop out of camp, you got to assume he's got some cartilage or like a chronic meniscal type injury in that knee. So what does that equate to? It means don't be surprised if you see him pop up on an injury report with his knee quite a bit. But he doesn't miss games. He'll fight through it. So I think that's kind of what we're expecting. Think Jordan Poyer-ish. right?
Oh, got it.
Always
Okay.
on the report, but kind of guts it out no matter what. Hopefully, this kid can stay healthy. He looks pretty good, like physically fit, um, and I think he's got a lot of potential to fit a hole that we haven't had. Obviously, we don't have a ton of separators right now outside of
Mhm.
Khalil, but we'll see what Elijah Moore's got. I got nothing on Elijah. I don't really know him having any
Yeah.
issues.
And from what
So
I understood, he's been relatively healthy. It's just been a matter of like him having to deal with terrible quarterback play his entire career. So say that
exactly.
that's something that could show up on an injury report. And so with that, like history is absolutely riddled for sure. But we all share the same optimism with Palmer. Hopefully he can deliver. Biggest question has to do with Matt Milano. And look at
Who's he
that thigh.
dating? Oh,
And look at that thigh. Matt Milano right over here, man. It's tough for me because like he's gotten that title of being injury prone, and I can't argue with it because he suffered that injury in London against Jacksonville and was out for the remainder of the season. And then last year, obviously, he tore his bicep when it came into training camp last year. That was a massive storyline for everybody. And many people's expectations for this player have completely bottomed, maybe even myself. So I'm kind of hoping, based off of what you saw from him, particularly toward the end of the season and into the playoffs, does he have the possibility, or would you say it's possible for him to get back to the Matt Milano of 2 years ago? Or is that very much a thing of the past based off of those injuries he's been having to deal with for the past couple of years?
yeah. He's on the back end of his career, so he's kind of fighting the age thing to begin with, right? So he's progressively getting older, which is going to slow down his physical attributes. The big one on him is the knee. So the knee was a brutal injury. So a tibial plateau fracture that requires surgery. And you saw the videos, like leg snapped in half. I mean,
Yeah, no, it was
not
gross.
good, real
Gruesome.
bad. And now he looks slow, and he's had 18 months to look better, and he still looks slow at the end of last year. Yes, you got to knock some rust off, but this isn't knocking the rust off of a 24-year-old. It's knocking the rust off of a 31-year-old, which means his ceiling is lower now. As you get older, you have more wear and tear in the knee. So accompany that with a huge surgery, you don't have much room for air. Um, how do I see Milano? Well, his calling card used to be his coverage, but his athletic abilities low now. But he's still thick and he can still hit hard.
Hmm.
So he might kind of transition to like a two down backer. I don't know. That's kind of what I was leaning towards. Like think like late career Ray Lewis. You know how he looked like a big bowling ball at the end, but he could
Yeah.
still thump it, right? And a good leader. So there's a role for him on the team. We'll see how athletic he is. He's got no excuses. They changed his contract. I'm pretty sure that was pretty telling of how they see things going with him as this last year. The bicep is a non-issue. Um,
Mm.
but if there's one thing I can say about the bicep, it's that a guy rehabs for 14 months and he comes back to camp and he tears his bicep. You saw the video of hitting the tackling dummy.
Yeah.
It didn't look like much.
No.
So that, you know, I'm not going to say this on the internet. I don't know what he was doing to try to recover and rehab, but he might have weakened his tendons in the process. Or he just did a lot of bicep curls when he couldn't do anything with his knee. I don't know. But it it just screams like, hey, he's a ticking time bomb for soft tissue now at this stage in his career.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. I was holding on to hope that since we shaved off a year of his contract, that this is just giving him like an extra chip on his shoulder where he sees this as his audition. And I mean, I feel like we've all been praying for us to finally see a full 17 games of him and Bernard together. But I kind of feel like I've also been trying to bring myself back down to earth and realize that, so the elite Matt Milano on coverage is likely a thing of the past, but I'm sure we've been wrong before. But
You can still win with your head, Dan. So
you
a guy
do.
like him, you're a half step too slow. You got to be a half step faster with your brain. But that makes you take chances, and that'll get you burned sometimes. So we'll see how it
Absolutely.
goes.
For
But if
sure.
I if I had an analogy in recent history, I would see this kind of like a Von Miller situation. Like, yeah, he sucked his first year back. Now he looks a little more complete, but okay, wow, Von's ceiling really is a lot lower now. So,
Okay. All
yeah.
right. Well, we will certainly be keeping an eye on that, especially since, like when it comes into the defense, man, we need perfection even on the depth side of things. But so I look at this team and like we've obviously went through some of the big candidates like Landon Jackson, had Deion Walker, we talked about Palmer and now Milano. Are there any other players on this roster that draw red flags for you, or some players that like you're looking at and you're like, I have a feeling that this might be 50-50, might be on the injury report quite a bit? Like, what are your thoughts there? And like, what players should we be watching out for?
Um, I didn't think it through. Now you put me on the spot. I was just kind of thinking about what you told me to have a heads up on. Who kind of finished the year post-operatively? Is there anybody?
Post-operative? I'm trying to think if anybody had like anything serious. It was really like Matt Milano. So it was really Matt Milano, like who came back like toward the back half of the season.
I mean, we're good at
Okay.
receiver.
So
I
here's one
mean,
with Benford, right? So
y'all,
here's one with
Benford, yeah.
yeah,
He's a
yeah.
bit
So like he could
scary.
be interesting. And so I look at Christian Benford and like he's only missed like 5 games his career. And unfortunately, like those two just so happened to be at the very most important times where we needed him was during the playoffs, where we ultimately ended up getting sent home where he suffered said injuries. Would you have any concerns about Benford like going into this season, and does he deserve the moniker of injury prone?
Um, he's getting close to it.
Yeah.
I'm not too worried about his body from his neck down.
Okay.
But those concussions were pretty concerning back to back. He looked pretty bad in that playoff game. Something shady went down. I don't know what it was
Oh,
because they had to sit him out of that last practice, and he went and saw another. I'm pretty sure he went and saw another neurologist to get cleared, and it looks like he wasn't supposed to be cleared. If he looked like he got knocked out
really?
from Mike
So a
Tyson.
second opinion is what you're saying. So he got an opinion from one and went to a second one.
I do not know this is a fact,
Okay.
but he practiced, then he was supposed to ramp up on the last practice. He didn't show up. Maybe they shipped him out. Maybe that was the first non-team neurologist, or maybe he had some symptoms after that second practice and they shut him down, and then they're like, okay, well, don't worry, we'll test you on Saturday, and if you feel good doing cardio, you're cleared for the game. I don't know, but he got really dazed and confused, knocked out pretty cold. His eyes, I mean, they had to cart him off. You remember what it looked, the scene on the sideline, right?
Oh yeah, I remember him on the golf cart, man. Like he looked like he was
Yeah.
sleeping, like
So,
knocked out cold.
so it's like getting punch drunk. I mean, you get a couple concussions, then they get easier and easier. You see what happened to Tua, and
Hmm.
Tua's at least a quarterback. You basically can protect yourself more easily, but he's got to like muck it up every game. I mean, he's got to tackle. So, do I think that may be factored into the hometown discount? I do. So we'll see. A lot of guys have had concussions early in their career and then stayed pretty healthy, like Mitch Morse. So it's possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely concern on the concussion side of things with Benford.
And so we just have the worst luck in the world when it comes into CB1s. Am I right?
Everyone gets hurt. It's who gets hurt at what time is where the fate is. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, we were on the other side of it the past 2 years.
Yeah. No, man, I totally get it. And so I'll tell you what, man, we all noticed that red helmet that you're wearing.
Oh yeah,
I'm not sure whether or not you saw the news. All
I
right. But
did.
unfortunately, per Trainwreck Sports, based off of their reports, it sounds like that the red helmet is not happening, and they are going with the white and the silver logo.
Yeah, I mean, I understand,
What's up with
and
that?
they're probably right, but I'm hoping
I know.
because there's enough
I know.
rumblings that they were bringing the red helmets from pretty credible people. So I'm in the back of my head, I'm thinking maybe it is just a little twist of communication, and the silver stuff is the rivals, and the red helmet actually is coming too. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know. But after that came out, I'd lean towards they're probably right, but we'll see.
It's funny when I was talking to Zach this morning about it too. Like I was saying, like you would think that the red helmet would be the perfect nod to into the history of the rich or slash and the Ralph, and this white silver logo would definitely be way better to save for the new stadium, right? Like new beginnings afterwards. But
Yeah.
I feel like we could all hold on to hope. We actually have somebody in the chat that's asking about our good friend Joey Bosa.
Oh, good. Oh, thank you. Yeah,
I'm
you
not
put me
sure
on the
about you,
Bo-
but
Bosa's injury prone. Okay.
indeed,
Absolutely.
indeed,
Hands down, if you put a definition, Joey Bosa's injury prone. I would expect him to get hurt at some point. He's already gotten hurt. He already hurt his calf.
yeah.
Is he a ticking time bomb for an Achilles tear? I don't know. Knock on wood. It better not happen. Um, but I'm okay with the dings. I'm expecting the dings with him and some missed time, but we just got to make sure he's there for the playoffs because that's what we've needed the past couple of years. We need
Mhm.
the closer that we've constantly been chasing. So, yeah, that's all I got to say about him. But when he's healthy, he's remarkable. So
No,
let's hope
yeah.
for the best. But yes, I would call him injury prone, and I would expect some missed time. I would love to be happily surprised for a healthy season, though. We're hoping for the best.
And so you would say with like a calf injury is normally a prerequisite to an Achilles injury?
So there's no study that says yes, like every calf injury, you better be careful because it's a 35% chance more likely you're going to tear an Achilles. There isn't, but there's enough anecdotal calf strains recently where guys end up tearing their Achilles in both football and basketball. So he had the time to get healthy though. A lot of these guys are coming back quick. What's his name? Just most recently in the playoffs, Halliburton, he
Yeah.
pops his calf and he comes back the next game. I mean, that's ridiculous. So
Yeah.
I don't know if they're shooting him to get him through the game, and that's what happens. Probably, but he had 8 weeks for training camp, so that is more than enough time to get fully healthy for anything less than a grade 2+ strain, which sometimes take about 8 weeks. But for what I saw, he was running and doing drills already like 2 weeks later. So
Yeah.
he's going to be well past the recovery period for it.
And hey, chat, what's the over under on Bosa games this year? We talking 10 or 11? I'd probably take the under on that one. Wouldn't you, Thigh Doc?
I think 10.5 is a good number to put out there.
I feel like 10.5 for the Joey Bosa. How many games will that man give us? It doesn't matter because it's been so long since we've had a guy cross over 10 plus sacks. We have 8.5 from Eric, who has come on in. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in
My
to a
pleasure.
very special edition of the Dom Mafia Report. Thigh Doc, again, like I said, as long as you're up for it, man, I would love for you to be a regular guest on this show because unfortunately, when it comes into rooting for this Buffalo Bills team, it comes with the territory to discuss injuries. And we really appreciate your insight on this. So we hope that you're willing to come back.
Always the hot topic. It's fun too. Yep. So it's my background. Played some football myself. So, and I love the Bills. Always have.
Yeah, guys, listen,
Perfect
I
mix.
highly recommend that you stop what you're doing and you go follow the Thigh Doctor on X right now. His profile is right here. I will also be linking it in the description right afterwards. He does a great job over there. Any last words right before we let everybody go, Thigh Doc? What do you got?
Yeah, two things. So if anyone doesn't know me, they're not surprised. I have a pinned tweet. It is the thigh dance tutorial. I did invent the dance in 2014. It's a mixture of rhythmic coordination of lunging, chest pumping, and lip biting. Goes to any music. My wife can attest to that. She likes it a lot. And then, if you follow me, I do live tweets. Pardon me if I get a little too reckless on the live tweets, but I will break it down for you as soon as I get a second look at it. And I'd say my accuracy is second to none.
Yeah. And folks, just in case you're interested, this is the thigh dance right here. I'm still trying to perfect it. I tried it at the Jets tailgate last year. All right. But it's still coming up, and I will make you proud, Thigh. I promise you that. But
You going back to the Jets game?
no, so with this year, we're actually going to the Bills-Dolphins game week 3.
Oh, you guys rotate. I see. Cool.
Yeah. We wanted to, but it was it's tough to have the Jets game that late into the season because we didn't figure a lot of Jets fans would be wanting to buy tickets after they just have like a terrible season. Like, so we learned that the hard way last year when we tried to sell tickets to the Jets and the Dolphins game, like week 16.
Yeah.
So when both of those teams were in complete shambles. But yeah, we're going to the Bills, Dolphins, and then we'll be going to San Francisco and the Rams as well for one of our other shows.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I live down here, so I always go to that Jets game.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Me and Bot are neighbors now. It's like a town over.
Yeah. No, yeah, man. He was telling me about that. Bot's the man.
He refuses to come over. I don't know. I think I scared him.
Oh, really? You already had him over once and he just never came back?
No, I went to his wedding.
Oh.
Yeah.
Got it.
Made a scene.
Hey, man, listen, you know what? Hey, man, you cannot hate on that whatsoever. Are you planning on coming to Buffalo at all this year or no?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go to camp next weekend. I will get up for at least one game, probably later in the year, and then I'm usually down for a playoff game. We got a couple season tickets, so it's just tough with a kid. So you just got to factor that in. I used to go to a lot more, but now I just pick and choose the special ones. Like I was at the Chiefs game last year, and then went to the Ravens playoff game. Go to the Jets game locally.
Shit. Okay. Yeah. So 3 for 3 last year then. So 3 wins when you were when Thigh Doc was in the stands, you know what I mean? It was
it's the new tearaway pants I got.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like so I went on this one run where every time I attended we lost. Like right up until last year when we were and we ended up beating the Jets, thank God. But for some reason, man, I still just prefer watching the game at home. Or say that I'm like in the atmosphere, I'm tailgating, I'm having a good time. I still would much rather just scalp my ticket and just walk over to a bar and watch the game there for some reason.
I mean, yeah, if you want to see everything and understand what's going on, watching at home is the way to go. But nothing does beat the tailgate, the experience, being in there, the energy. But it's tough, like even as like, because I like to do the injury stuff. I don't know what's going on when I'm there.
Yeah,
so it's tough.
Dude, exactly.
And then you usually have a couple beers, so you kind of forget what
happened. Yeah, exactly. You're zoned out and stuff along those lines. Like you're watching the scoreboard for the most part of like all the replays, and you're like, why did I spend $500 to be here? Where I could have just been, and so just been home. But Thigh Doc, I appreciate you, man. We are going to be having you on, I would imagine, regularly throughout training camp, hopefully for zero bad news, but unfortunately that's the name of the game in this department. Folks, we appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.
Take it easy. Go Bills.
Go Bills.